Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be here. My name is Christian Stovall. I'm the Community Engagement Manager, and I'm here with Mike Kozalter and Dennis Perry. We're representing the Georgia Innocence Project for Wrongful Conviction Day this year. And so we're so excited to be here. We're excited to talk to you about some things that you might be familiar with, some things you might not be familiar with. But whether or not you're familiar with it, we're here to share knowledge about wrongful convictions. Like I said, I'm here with Mike Kozalter. He's our program manager, and Dennis Perry, an exoneree who served over 21 years for crimes that he was convicted of that he did not commit. And so we're here to speak about collective impact, shared justice, shared struggle, and shared vision. And we're definitely here to speak on the shared struggle and shared vision part, just to share a little bit more about wrongful convictions, the ways that we cope with them, the ways that we work through those issues. And so before I turn it over to Mike and Dennis, I would like to say just a little bit about GIP, who we are, and a little bit about our mission. We were founded in 2002 by two Georgia State University law students. So we are, if you do some math, we are celebrating 20 years this year with that. We are very excited about. In fact, later on this week, we're having a big event to mark that occasion. And so we are excited to celebrate 20 years. And a little bit about our mission. Our mission is to free the imprisoned innocent using DNA testing, as well as other methods, to free people who were convicted of crimes that they did not commit. And then we also work to prevent future wrongful convictions through education and reform, such as doing talks like these to other network members, but also just to the general public as well. And we work to assist free people with connecting them with resources to help rebuild their lives. And so that's about all. I'll go into that. And without further ado, I do want to turn it over to Mike, where he'll take over from here and start talking about Woodburning.
Hey y'all, thanks. I was fidgeting with my camera there for a second. As you can see, we do have this wood burning stream going live throughout the whole presentation today. I know wood burning may not be the first thing that comes to mind when you hear about wrongful convictions, but I'm hoping that by the end of this session today, things will come full circle for everyone. So as the theme of Wrongful Conviction Day is collective impact, and I think so many of us today across the network are going to be focusing on the ways that we are interconnected through these experiences, through this work, through these struggles, and through this fight for justice. I think that's where this theme came in mind for us. Again, it may not be automatic in mind and how those connections are made, but we thought this would actually be a cool opportunity to talk about one connection that Dennis and I had, which is a love for the craft of wood burning. So Dennis and I, have worked together quite a bit since his exoneration as program manager at the Georgia Innocence Project. I oversee a few different things, but one of the areas that I work with primarily is our client services and reentry support program. So I get the privilege of working with folks like Dennis and other individuals that we've exonerated or exonerees in our community to really help them figure out how to navigate life after wrongful conviction, how to rebuild their lives, connect to other resources in their community that might help them out. So I've been working very closely with Dennis for quite a while now. And through that work together, I think we realized that we had that shared passion of wood burning. So we will talk about that today. That is one of those connections, but I think it goes a little bit deeper than that. Dennis will actually share a little bit about his story today, just his experience of being wrongfully convicted, but also talking about the ways that he invested in different crafts like wood burning to invest in himself while being wrongfully convicted. Beyond that, I will actually talk about wood burning as one of the ways that I was able to focus in on my well-being over the past couple of years. I think many folks across the network might be able to relate, but this work can be pretty heavy. It can be pretty difficult. So I think well-being is a really important thing to focus on during these times, during this work. So wood burning was one of the ways that I tuned into that. So I'm hoping that Dennis's story will be able to help connect with other folks who may have gone through similar experiences out there, other exonerees or freed persons, and that my story might be able to help connect with other folks across the network who are focusing in on their well-being. So I think that's all that I have to say, though. I appreciate you all for being here and tuning into this conversation. I think it's going to be really interesting. As Christian mentioned, though, it's a pretty casual chat. I will just be answering some questions as I'm working on this wood burning piece throughout the session. So I think I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Dennis now if you want to go ahead and start sharing your story, and I'll get things set up with this wood burning in the background.
Hello, my name is Dennis Perry, and I was wrongly convicted and served 21 years 21 plus years in prison for a crime that I did not commit. This crime happened. It was a double homicide in 1985. And I was cleared by a GBI agent and a Camden County deputy sheriff in 1986. Well, all these years went by, and in 1999, this deputy started coming to my house when I lived in Jacksonville, Florida, and started questioning me about this same crime. Well, I told him, I said, I was cleared in 1986, not knowing that I was cleared, but I told him, I said, I was cleared in 1986 by a GBI agent and a deputy, Camden County deputy sheriff. Well, and then in 1999, a deputy from Camden County came to my house and started questioning me about the same crime. Well, not knowing I was cleared, because nobody ever told me I was cleared or was investigated on the same crime. He said, well, your name came back up on our radar. Well, me not knowing that my name came back up on their radar, not knowing, what went on. I talked to him, and, I told him I didn't have nothing to do with it, and I wasn't in town at that time. I was living in Atlanta, Georgia, so it went on like that for about a couple of months. And he came back to my house, and he questioned some more about the same thing, I told him the same thing, I didn't have nothing to do with this. I didn't, with me, y'all have the wrong guy. Y'all are the wrong guy. I mean, I didn't have nothing to do with it, and they're questioning me and insinuating things, about what happened. All that. Well, I don't know what happened. I know what happened. I'm not there. I wasn't there. Anyway, in 2000, I was coming home from work one night, and got pulled over by the police. And I look in my rearview mirror, and there's like 12 shotguns and pistols pointing at me. Me not knowing what's going on. And I thought they'd pull me over for DUI or something. But I got out of the truck, and they said, put your hands over your head, get down on your knees, and all this. I thought to myself, well, this is what they do with somebody with, that's been in bad trouble. So, well, when I seen who it was the same detective that came by my house. So they took me in and interrogated me for about 4 hours. Well, insinuating on the things that went on, and them, telling me exactly what happened and all that. They took that as a confession, as me to telling them, what happened and all, because they was asking me, well, what happened to the gun? Did you throw it in the river, or what happened? Well, me trying to do good by the law, was just saying, okay, whatever y'all got, y'all still got the wrong man. But they didn't like that answer. So they went ahead and convicted me. A jury convicted me of the double murders. I mean, I sit in the county jail for 3 years. But a jury convicted me of the double murders with no DNA. They had DNA, but they didn't allow the jurors to hear it at that time. The judge wouldn't allow them to hear it. And the DNA was 99.4% not mine. But they was not allowed to hear it. Wow. The judge wouldn't allow them to hear it. The lady that testified against me was paid she paid $12,500 to testify against me. Well, my lawyers didn't know nothing about that. So they couldn't, call it back up or do anything about it. We didn't find all this out until later on. But I had spent 21 years in prison for something I didn't do. And one of my things in prison that made my time go by a lot quicker was classes that I took. I took multiple classes. I got my GED in 2012, and I took multiple classes after that. I took a computer class. I took technology class. I took welding class. I have like over 25 certificates for all the classes I took. From the 21 years I was in prison. And one of them was wood burning. I took up a wood burning class in there. And that was things that it passed your time quick. And it would your mind, it would help you out, with thinking and things like that, because it passed your time real quick. But it was something that is enjoyable. And, you can't say, well, how is it enjoyable? It was inside. But it took you away from there. It wasn't like you was inside, you was doing something that you enjoyed. But like I said, I spent 21 years in 2 different prisons. I done 9 years in one and 9 years in another one, and I was in the county for 3 years. But they, the last 2 years I was in prison, I told my wife I was going to pray myself up out of there. And once I told her that, that's when the ball started rolling. Started getting, GIP was, they was on it, like, they was all over my case. And they was wanting to see me out too, because I had talked to them several times. I started writing them in 2005, and my mom started writing them in 2005. And it took us that long just to get all the evidence back together and things, missing pieces to, we got all that, we found all that out in the last 2 years right there, right before I got out. And, it's just things like that. You just had the puzzle was so jumbled up, you had to get everything and put it back together, and it was just like a puzzle doing all that time. But if it hadn't been for GIP and King and Spalding, I would probably still be sitting in there. But GIP went in there and they started investigating it. They had investigators on it, and it just started coming together like a puzzle should, and it was heartwarming for, just the people that came together all at one time, not believing, what happened to y'all 20 years ago? Where was y'all at 20 years ago? But I couldn't say that. And to have, to have remorse, or just to have, bad feelings of people that arrested me, I don't have that. I don't hold nothing against nobody. And that's just the way life is. But I just trying to live it one day at a time now, because life is too short.
Right. But Dennis, we really, really appreciate you telling your story. Every time I hear it, it's heartbreaking. But we don't take it for granted.
It is.
Nobody across the network should take this for granted whenever exonerees or free clients want to share their stories. I imagine it doesn't get easier every time you tell it, and so. Like I said, we don't take it for granted. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate you just sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let me say one more thing. Let me say one. In 2014, I lost my best friend, my grandmother, and my best fishing partner. She was the most beautiful thing in the world besides my mother. In 2017, I lost my mother. And I was not able to grieve them things on the inside. You can't grieve on the inside like that. And my dad passed away 6 months before I got out. He couldn't hang on. and it's just things like that you can't grieve inside. There's so many funerals I missed, weddings and people growing up, seeing your nephews and your nieces grow up, and and your grandparents getting old. It's just things like that breaks your heart and that you miss from the inside. But I just wanted to share that with y'all.
If I can just jump in, I just want to say thank you for sharing that, Dennis. And I'm just so sorry that you had to go through all that, and I hate it's so hard hearing those stories because it's so many times that I've heard that, right? So many different people who have gone through a wrongful conviction where it seems like it's not just them who are impacted, right? It is this collective impact on so many other people too, your loved ones, your family, your friends, missing out on those opportunities with them. And so I'm so sorry you had to deal with that. I'm grateful that you're here now and that we have you in our lives, but I'm so sorry for all the time that you missed out on,
Yes, sir.
I think going like that, we're sorry you went through that. We're happy to have you out because the amount of times that we jumped and joked and those moments will sustain me for the rest of my life. Whether I'm here or not. And so I'm blessed to have you in my life. I'm blessed to call you a friend, and I think a lot of people across the network can agree with that as well. I would love to to dive into some of these pieces. We do have some pictures of your pieces, and I would love if you could talk about them. So let me bring them up. So if you could tell us about this piece right here.
Okay. This piece right here that I had to do with a scroll saw, and it's a 7-layer piece, and it's a 3D piece that I did, I think, back in 2014. And they took it and they auctioned it off to a lady that had written me a letter back while I was inside and told me how much that she appreciated it and thanked me for it. And it was real nice of her to write a letter back, and for appreciation and everything. But it's a nice piece. It's like I said, it's just a square piece, but it's 7 layers thick.
Wow.
Of lanai board.
Oh, okay. That's cool. It looks. How long did this take you to do, if you can recall?
Probably in an hour's time. Probably, I would say 24 hours.
Oh wow.
Just sitting down doing it.
Yeah, it's very detailed. It's intricate. Definitely.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I'm sure she.
It was a fun piece. It was a fun piece.
It was a fun, yeah. I got to tell you, that was one of my favorite pieces that I think I've ever seen you do. Although this one here with the fish, the detail on this one is what stands out to me. Like, I'm so impressed by this one.
Yeah.
Right.
A little bit more about this.
I done this one because I love fishing so much. And my grandmother, she loved fishing too.
Yeah. And
it was a boat paddle, and it's just, doing a boat paddle. Well, what else is good on a boat paddle? For the fish. Right. So the background.
Hey, you said your grandma was one who was your best fishing partner too, right?
Gotcha. Yes, she was. She was. I tried to outfish her every time, but
she always beat you.
She always outfished me.
What's the biggest fish you ever caught? And I know it might be some little in it. Yeah.
I've caught a blackfin tuna that weighed 45 pounds.
Wow.
And I had foul hooked him. I had hooked him through the tail when I caught him. It took me about an hour to get him in.
Oh, wow.
And when I finally got him in, I figured out why it took me so long to get him in, because I had hooked him through the tail and he kept going the other way. So
fighting them.
Yeah, that's a big one right there.
That's the biggest saltwater fish I've ever caught.
Okay.
Now, me and my grandmother, we went out before, and within an hour or two, we have caught over 85 trout. I'm talking about 2 pounds or better speckled trout.
Right.
I mean, just in one little spot. I mean, it was like a 10 by 10 spot.
Mm-hmm.
If your cork went out of that spot, you might as well reel it back in because it was going too far.
Wow.
But within an hour, we sit right there in that one spot and caught like 85. I mean, we had them all over the bottom of the boat, out the buckets and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I can imagine those. I used to love going fishing with some of my dad's friends. We'd just sit at the dock. I mean, we wouldn't go deep sea fishing or anything like that, but we'd just sit at the dock, and it's so peaceful. You just throw your line out.
It is
all day.
And that's what me and my grandmother did. It was every day. My grandfather, he was crippled, so he couldn't go. He couldn't go and sit out in the boat that long. So I would take her every day, and that was her enjoyment, And I guess that's why she lived so long. She lived to be 86 years old.
Wow!
But I guess that's why she lived so long.
Dennis, so I know you've also been able to do a lot of fishing since you've been exonerated, and I think you had a boat that you got set up recently. Is that right?
It's nice going out, We've caught catfish and some trout, but that's one of my hobbies, just fishing, and it's the peace and quiet out there that I enjoy.
Yeah.
I will say that's what brings me into woodburning too. I know it's a very different kind of thing, but it's a peace and quiet, right? It really, because it's a slow craft. I'm sure you can relate on that. It takes a lot of time to do this. As you can see here, I'm just putting in these dots. It's taking me the whole time just to do that. But it's something where, because it takes so long, it really kind of makes me sit down, reflect, take some peace and quiet, and really kind of enjoy that time. So I think I can relate on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mike, do you, can you, what advice would you give to those, especially people who are on the sides of working in the network, as far as finding a hobby? How did you find this hobby? Where did it, we heard from Dennis, how he got into woodburning, but how did you get into it?
So I got a shout out. I know, Dennis, you're shouting out your grandma. I'm going to shout out my grandpa actually on this one. He's the one that taught me how to woodburn. So it was quite a few years ago when he showed me the basics. I actually grew up in Oklahoma. That's where I lived with him and some of my other family. And he taught me the basics. He actually gave me my first wood burner. It was one that looked a lot like this. And he used to do wood burning. He used to carve out these big old walking sticks and would burn on those. So he showed me the basics, but then I didn't really, do it too much. I've always liked enjoying art and doing that kind of thing, but it really kind of came up a couple of years ago during the pandemic, or during the height of the pandemic, I guess, right? In the middle of the summer of 2020, I was at home with nothing else to do. And so I kind of picked up my old wood burner and decided to get back into it and spend some time practicing it. So during that summer too, my partner actually was a candle maker. He worked at a candle shop, so he made homemade candles, and we kind of came together and started a little small business where I sell little handmade wood burn art goods like this, and he sells the candles. So it was something that really, again, let us invest our time in something productive during the pandemic. Instead of just sitting around watching TV and playing video games like I was tempted to do, it gave me a more, I think, productive outlet for that. The past couple of years, I picked it up during that summer and just haven't stopped. I've just done a lot of work since then. Right now I'm working on it. I like doing these little coasters. That's what this one is right now. It's a coaster with GIP's logo on it. I do other coasters. This is another one I'm working on with a little snake and moon design. So it's all kind of fun stuff like that. Just little things that you can put in your home, things that you can make personalized, just pieces of art that you can actually use in your home. So coasters, wall art, bowls, things like that.
Right.
Yeah, it's great. It's turning out great. I've seen a lot of your other stuff too, and I can tell you never put your heart and soul into it. And it's also, it seems like it's a good way in order for you to, relieve stress from time to time. Like you said,
right.
it blocks out. The world is a busy and sometimes frustrating place. So I imagine when you do this, you just block out. Maybe you can light one of Devin's candles and then play some music in the background. I don't know.
That's exactly it. Yeah. And kind of back to your question earlier about just the finding a hobby for really anyone, right? And not a lot of people out there really take up wood burning, although I would encourage it. You can buy one of these little things for $15 at Walmart and try it out. I think in general, it's important to find those things that give you peace, give you calm, give you solace after work. I think I mentioned this earlier, but doing this work in this field, I think is so rewarding in so many ways. At least for me, I really enjoy working at the Georgia Innocence Project. But it can be heavy. It's difficult work and it's hard work, and we're working really hard to make change happen. And I think in doing that, it's important to find time to wind down as well, right? Find time to relax, to recover, to build yourself up. And I think finding hobbies, things to do in your downtime is one really helpful way of investing in your well-being. There's a motto that we have here at GIP, or something that we say a lot, is that you can't really pour from an empty cup, right? So those off hours, those hours you're spending wood burning or fishing or going out and doing all the other things that you love, I think if you think about it, they really are the things that are helping you be better in your work and make more of an impact because you're taking care of yourself in those off hours. So that's my 2 cents there. Yeah.
So I have a question for Dennis. Since you've been out, would you find yourself fishing more or wood burning more? Which one do you think you do more?
Oh, or fishing.
Fishing, yeah.
You live right there by the water, right? So
yeah.
Yes, I enjoy fishing. I mean, I am working on this piece, though. This piece right here, the clock.
Yeah, I remember this clock.
I am working on it. I still got I got a wood burning tool too.
Hey,
Mike.
Look, we're matching. Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm working on this piece. And you spoke of the walking sticks.
Oh, wait,
I got one right here that I'm going to start working on. I got to get all the bark off of it, but it's got some real nice pieces on it, to work on. But I've had that for about a year since I come home, and I just found it in the closet the other day, and I said, well, I need to start working on that.
Actually, I think literally right over here in the closet is one that my grandpa made for me. I'll have to pull that out at some point, but it looks a lot like that one. I really like that piece. It looks like it has a lot of different kind of like edges and shapes to work with there. It's pretty cool.
Right, and it takes up a lot. It might take up a lot of your time, but it you could do it and get your mind settled. Calm yourself down.
And you know what? I think even though I don't do wood burning, one of the things I think if I were to get into it, one of the things that I also see that's beneficial to this is that when you're done, you have like a completed product that you can like call your own, that you can see like, hey, I did this. It's something that you can hold and something that you can showcase, and just like something to show off your work. So like it not only provides that instant gratification of getting your mind off of whatever you're dealing with, but it also allows you to create something. And Mike, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but Mike also sells his goods. So like, he has a little side hustle as well. If in order to make it.
That's the other thing. Working in the nonprofit world in general, I think it's always good to have a little side hustle. So we did start that small business, and kind of to your point there, Christian, though, like you're saying, it's like you have this like finished product with this kind of hobby, these tangible things that you can work with, which I love. And there has been so many times where I made a piece that I was trying to sell because I wanted to make a little extra money or whatever the reason was, and then I said I just can't part with it. I can't give it up. I have to hold on to it. So I have a couple of wood burn pieces just like that here in my apartment that I just had to hold on to. But beyond that, I try to do just a few things here and there. Like, I'm not making millions doing this work by any means at all, but it is something where it gives me an opportunity to share my craft with others, I think. And that's what I love most about selling the work. Like, I have a little website, it's orumcreations.com, where I just like post on all just the different art pieces I have. And I just, we try to go to community workshops every now and again too, or different like tabling sessions, festivals, where we can actually go out, show our craft, and just engage with the community that way. And I think that's always been really rewarding. So that's something that I really enjoy doing in my downtime, kind of taking this hobby maybe just to the next level, and making a little extra money while I'm doing it too. But yeah, it's been a really good experience so far. And I was lucky enough to do this work with my partner too, which I think has been a little extra special for us.
Right. That's good.
Yeah. I know, Dennis, you said the pieces that you had made that you'd showed us, that fish board and that other board that you had cut out.
I couldn't take them home because they had them inside.
And but they were auctioned off though, is that right? Sorry.
Yeah, they auction them off.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
They auction them off in Atlanta.
So how do you? I know you've also made other pieces and other works of art that you've like gifted to the people that you love. Is that right? I feel like you talked about that before. How you like to make these things and share them with those folks.
Yes. Well, I made a piece for GIP too that they took and auctioned off too.
We did like a fundraising campaign, I think, and the winner of that fundraising campaign got gifted that. It was like what was it, like a key holder or?
A key holder. Yeah.
Oh, I think right there. Yep.
Yeah. I know.
That one was really cool. It's like the whole mountain scene.
How long did this one take you?
Probably, I would say about 12 hours.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it took me a long time, but as far as putting the time into it, it'll take you about 12 hours. Because Mike kept staying on me about it. So
that's the thing about it, because I can really, the same way I can like easily start a project and never finish it. So I always have to stay on top of myself with those things, especially with these ones that just take so long. Like doing this little coaster, is one thing, but doing a big old wall piece like that, it can take a lot of time.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard to just sit down and do it.
Like, you gonna finish this? You gonna start something else? Finish this or what?
I'm notoriously doing that. I always stop a project like halfway through. Sometimes you just need a break. You just need like a change of pace a little bit,
Yeah,
especially when it's taking so long.
Exactly. You need to go fish. You need to go fishing every once in a while.
And maybe that's exactly. Right. And that's the other thing too. Like my takeaway about this hobby, like I love doing this to, as I talked about before, kind of slow down after work, slow down my pace, enjoy some peace and quiet. But sometimes it gets a little taxing as well, right? Sometimes the things that I enjoy doing, like this hobby, actually take a little bit of a toll in and of themselves. And I think that's a lesson that I've learned, is that it's okay to shift things up. It's okay to switch directions, right? Just because I really want to finish this piece and just because I had a really good time doing it yesterday doesn't mean that I'm going to have that same experience today. And so it's okay to switch things up, try new things, and put yourself out there, especially again when you're focusing in on that well-being.
Right. It's all about balance. It's all about balance. So, with that being the case, I just want us to be mindful of time. We've come to the end of our time, and which is perfect because we all got to see the finished product of Mike's coaster. So, you saw it here. I hope for those of you that tuned in to our session, we appreciate you coming and learning about wood burning, learning about wrongful convictions, and learning about ways that we cope with them. But we also hope that you enjoy all the sessions that came before us and the sessions that are coming after us. Please just partake in all the wrongful conviction day activities across the network. We support each other, and so we really want to thank you all for joining us today. If you have any questions, just please feel free. You can email Mike or myself. Mike's email is at mike@georgiainnocenceproject.org. My email is christian@georgiainnocenceproject.org. Again, that's mike@georgiainnocence.org or christian@georgiainnocence.org. We'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Mike, Dennis, anything y'all want to say before we sign off?
No, just thank y'all for being here.
Yeah. We thank you for having us. And everybody, have a good night.
Yeah, thanks so much, y'all.
All right.
Take care.
Take care.